Today we're going to take a look at a program that uses AI to help you create your whole script. I want to say thank you to the creators of Plotdot. They gave me a review copy of Plotdot.AI. So if you see my last video, I talked about which of the three LLMs are better for screenwriting: Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. So today we're looking at a program that the AI is designed solely to just do scripts, to write screenplays. So let's dive into it, take a look at it, and see what it's like. So I logged myself in, and what I'm going to do right now, first, this is the home screen that I came to when I came onto the system. So simply hit create a new project, and I'm doing this just as well as you are right now. So type your idea below. If you're not sure, that's okay. Just write a few sentences that best describes your story idea. You need at least 10 characters to proceed to the next step. Let's see. Oh, okay. So if you look at the page on their website, they already have something filled out in terms of this. So I'm going to take a look at one of my outlines and write some stuff according to this. So just give me just a second. All right, so I'm taking one of the outlines for drones, which I used in a previous video, and I'm just going to paste it here. Let's see if there's a word count restriction. There is not. So I'm going to type that in, or I just copy and paste it in, hit next. It has to be less than 5,000 characters. All right, that's good to know. So I'm going to go back through and edit it again. Okay, so what I did instead now is I put a log line in, which is a lot less than 5,000 characters. We'll take a look and see what it has me do next. So I simply hit the next key. So it wants me to tell me a little bit more like what type of genre it is. I think it's probably going to be more like a thriller. Let's go with that. The theme, it's got a lot. Let's see if it's got, I just want to see if it has another theme in it. Nope. Okay, so there's one thing as we look through here, there's a certain amount of themes that we can use, or it says that we can enter our own as well too. Good versus evil, war versus peace, freedom versus oppression, survival versus resilience, grief and loss. I think justice, morality, there's a humanity versus technology. I think I'm going to do with that. Audience, again, we can select our own. I'm going to go with fans of genre classics. I think we're going to go with that. And again, we can put our own in. So again, we can put our own in if we want to do that. So we just hit next again. So let's tap into Plotdot's. That's hard to say. So let's tap into Plotdot's power to see some variations on your logline. Click the magic button below. So we just tap to brainstorm. So it's going to generate some creative magic here, and then we'll see how long it takes to do that. Okay. Select any ideas to use as your logline. Each one provides a unique direction of your story. Now, we already wrote a basically logline for this. So here's some AI-generated ideas. So the nice thing is you can just type in whatever you want, and it generates you a logline. So let's take a look at some of the different. Let's see if I can find where the. Let's see if it'll let me go down. So. The one thing I'm noticing right now, it's not easy to scroll down. Maybe the scroll's on the other side. Nope, I'm not seeing it. So the first one, it says, when a battle-scarred police officer and his tech genius nephew are thrust into chaos by a rogue drone assault led by a vengeful Russian commander, they must overcome their mutual distrust of machines and master. Well, that doesn't really work. As deadly drones rain terror on their city, a war-hardened police officer and his estranged tech-savvy nephew must use the very technology they fear to stop a Russian commander vendetta, uncovering a conspiracy that forces them to redefine their humanity. Interesting. So it's really laying into the theme pretty well. I sort of like the last one, so let's pick that one. Now, what do you want to call it? Urban Override. We're just going to just use what I've been using before, simply called drones. Let's just see what also it just suggests for titles. I like drones, but let's see. Using all the features, let's just take a look. Override, Iron Skies. Oh, that's an interesting one too. Collateral Signal, Zero Protocol. And I'm just sort of dragging down on the mouse. That's the only way that I'm sort of able to see it going up or down. So I think it would be helpful if they had a little slider here. So we'll see. I sort of like Iron Skies. Let's go with Iron Skies. Let's see what happens next. Okay. So the other thing I can do is take a look at my themes. I think it sounds fine to me. I think, it allows you to go through and you can correct things. You can change stuff. If I want to change this to drones back again, I think. So let's just take a look and see what happens when I hit next. So fill in these important elements, or let's brainstorm together. These core components will help shape your narrative and bring your characters to life. So we can sort of talk about the main character, the conflict, the inciting incident, stakes. And the nice thing is it has a little example in each of these things here too. So let me go through, because I've already gotten this all sort of figured out with my outline. So I'm going to go through here and put some of this stuff in here. So as we look through this, it was pretty easy to fill out since I had an outline. I already sort of knew what I was doing. Just to show you, let's take a look at stakes. I'm going to take away what I already had there. I'm going to have the AI generate it, just so you get the gist of how it can generate story elements for you. And you could have the AI do all that for you right now. But for me, yeah, actually I like these stakes a lot better. It's a little bit more. So in my stakes, I said the stakes are the citizens of the city. If in this particular thing, it says if Alex fails, the city will face continued drone assaults leading to mass casualties and societal collapse. I actually like that a little better. So let's just hit next, see what happens here. So then it asks me image generation preferences. Would you like images to be generated automatically throughout your project, or would you prefer to generate them manually when needed? Manual generation saves 25% ink when printing your project. So that's good to know. I'm not going to be printing my project so much, so I'm just going to have it automatically generate throughout the project just to see that particular feature. Here we have 11,500 credits, I'm assuming, so we'll see how many credits this actually takes for it to generate this type of project here. So it took about a minute to a minute and a half to create this. It was about 62 credits. And so let's take a look through here and see how everything looks so far. So let's take a look, and I can download this as well too, which I think I will. Perfect, and I'll take a look at that later on. So as we go through here, and I can also regenerate the image as well too. I think it looks pretty cool so far, though I just see iron. I don't see the skies. Iron, sort of the implication is the skies, but interesting. So the long line, as a deadly drones rain down on their city, a war horde. So if we look at the log line first, you can read it here, which is pretty similar to the log line I had. It just repeats everything. So it's a genre, humanity versus technology, fans of genre classics. So it goes through the main character, the inciting incident. So the inciting incident is actually a little different than what I initially put in. And let's take a look at the character. Then if that's different, let's take a look at the character. So this is interesting too. Alex is estranged from his family, particularly his nephew. After his rigid worldview led to personal conflicts, he's resourceful, principled, and protective, but he's also stubborn and slow to trust. So this is interesting too. So the theme sort of changed as well. That the relationship that I envisioned between the nephew and the main character has changed as well too, which I'm interested to see how it goes. So the goal, Alex must work with his technology-savvy Ethan to track down and neutralize the mastermind behind the drone attacks. Perfect. Conflict. Alex distrust of technology clashes with the necessity of using it to fight back. He and Ethan are hunted by both the drones and corrupt officials involved in the conspiracy. Interesting. I hadn't even thought of that particular angle. So the stakes, which we talked about before, and the needs. Alex must overcome his fear and distrust of technology and learn to reconnect emotionally with Ethan. He needs to rediscover what it means to be human in a world dominated by machines. This sounds actually pretty good. So let's go on to the next piece here. So that's sort of this piece here. So as I get done looking through here, there's really nothing that tells me where I have to go next, but I'm assuming, looking at the side, that this is the overview. So I'm going to go look at the next thing and say world building. So I'm assuming we're going to take a look at characters. And so here's a bunch of different characters. And it's created a bunch of different characters for me. Character suggestions. And so they've given me a bunch of character suggestions here. Interesting. Foil, anti-villain. So it's interesting as we take a look here. It gives me some traditional roles that we see within movies. So I think that's pretty neat. We can collapse the sidebar. We can pull it out. We can add these particular characters. So let's just add the characters. I'm just going to add them all. And just to sort of see what that looks like and what it does for us. Okay. So I'm adding all the characters. Now I'm going to take a look and see if there's any. Oh, there's some changes here. As you notice that you can sort of see the credits going down here as we're using credits to use those character suggestions. So I'm assuming that, so we've used almost 100 credits so far, a little over 100 credits. So here's some interesting things about it. It actually pulls up your characters and gives you pictures of them. You can also download them. Oops, I clicked on one. We'll have to go back here in just a second. So here is the nickname Iron Wolf. Interesting. Let's see here. So here's appearance. About. So I was just trying to. So dummy me, I just sort of figured out it's up here. I can look at the summary. She's known as the Iron Wolf. Is a 42-year-old registered military renowned for her expertise in drone warfare. So there's some interesting things about her. Again, let's see if I can scroll down to. That's okay. So that's the one thing. My critique right now is just they should have sliders. I mean, it's because otherwise I have to sort of click up and down. It's not real easy. It's not really intuitive to. We can do a deep dive. They have strengths for her, weaknesses, fears, all that sort of type of stuff, and I don't see anything down there. Chat. What does chat mean, I wonder? Well, unfortunately, I can't dive into chat. So let's go back to characters. Oops. Well, interesting. So I just clicked on that last piece, and you get this. So it doesn't look like you can just click back. You have to use this function here, I'm assuming, because characters, and that gets us back to the main menu there. So perfect. And it's interesting, you can take a look at all these different characters that we have here and view the details and download them and stuff like that. So interesting. So that works pretty well. Let's take a look at location. We can add new locations, a Glasswork Hub, Command Center. So let's just try to add a new location just to show you sort of how it works from this perspective without having the AI do everything. Let's just try to add in some own stuff. So let's do a location being the police station. There we are in terms of location. So I can simply, I believe, I can just, if I need to add a key event or history, locations history if we want to do that. I'm going to say not applicable, so we'll just create location. So again, so here's the nice thing. So now you have a slider here, but I noticed they haven't had a lot of sliders for everything else. So there's a slider for this, which is nice. So it's cool thing, it created a location for us. Yeah, that works for me. It looks sort of like a diner, but that works fine. I sort of like this the gritty sort of look. And so we can go back to locations and add as many other locations that we want. So let's talk about plot. See if it'll let me do plot. Okay. So you can do hero's journey. In terms of that, subgenre, you can enter, describe your narrative style. So this is sort of neat if you want to say, hey, I want this to be very much like a Tarantino movie or a Nolan film. Let's put that in there. So in some sense, you can have hero journeys. You can have a 3-act structure. You could have a story grid. Let's just do a common 3-act structure. There's no subgenre that I really want. Well, maybe science fiction. I think that might be a little fun. So again, we got the nice bar as we go through. Describe the ordinary world. Describe to call the adventure. Refusal of the call, describe the meaning of the mentor, describe the crossing the threshold. So the good thing about all these things is it's asking us as the writer to put stuff in here. It's not creating stuff for us. This is one thing I really like about Plotdot is I'm in charge of this. I'm the one who's talking about what's going on. And so this is pretty cool. And you can pull this out and you can put hopefully a lot of information in here. And so right now it's sort of got it described. So as you look at the different things that we can look at, it's sort of giving you the hero's journey, the way that sort of plotting stuff out. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm just going to check the writing thing real quick here. So you can generate the screenplay for you. So write your screenplay with professional formatting. Transfer your story into professional formatted screenplay. Get started by generating your first draft using AI assistance. So we'll be getting to start with that here in just a couple moments. But let's get back to planning. I have to go back to plot first, and then we can go to, so planning comes next. Please generate a plot first before proceeding to the planning stage. Okay, so let's go to plot, and then we're going to go to a 3-act structure, and then we're going to, and you can also, okay, so there's a portion that you can write it here, or you can have it generate the plot. But I think I have sort of what I like in my outline, so I'm going to type everything in. We are going to leave one thing. I'm going to fill in, well, it doesn't have an option where you can generate just part of the plot with AI, but maybe that'll be in the planning section. So I'm going to put in what I know about the story into this, and then we'll take a look and see. I'll check back with you once we're done with that. Okay, so one good thing to know is that it does not save your progress. Whenever you click out of a part, it doesn't save your progress. So I just went back to look at a character because I was thinking of doing something with Mentor, and it doesn't save it. So once you're in doing this, stay in and doing this. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything, which can be a little frustrating. All right, so I've added all the pieces together, and I think that should be it. So then let's see if it'll let me. There's something I am missing because it's not letting me say finished. Or do I have to generate the plot with? Interesting. So it says finish. If I do planning. And I lost everything again. Well, I'm just going to have it generate the plot because I put everything in. So let's select a structure. Okay, well, so here's the thing. You can't put your own stuff in. You have to let it help you do this. So I can select a structure. I'm going to go to 3-act. Describe your plot. Okay, so and we'll see how much more it takes to generate a screenplay, or at least generate a plot. So it doesn't look like you can put in your own plot, which I don't know if I'm excited about that. But maybe that'll be in a later version of this. So we'll see how long it takes to do that. All right, so it just took a couple moments to do this. It has gone down a little bit more. No, it hasn't. It actually hasn't gone down. I don't believe. I'll have to take a look back, and I'll put in the comment if it actually went down or not. So let's see. I can go through and look at these different things. Can I edit these things? Okay. I'm going to try to put in that Christopher Nolan style. See if it'll do that for us as well too. It sounds interesting, so let's give it a finish and see what we do next. So we'll take a look at the number up here, see how much that goes down. It'd be interesting to see how many credits they use and stuff like that. So that hasn't really gone down yet. So we have a summary, we have a plot, we have the setup, we have the resolution, and you can go through here and look at the themes. You can go through here and look at what Act 1 is like. And again, it did actually use the 3-act structure for me, which is good because that's what sort of I'm used to using. So that is good. And so then we can go to the planning stage yet. So structure your narrative with act sequences, scenes, and beats. So structure your narrative with act sequences, scenes, and beats. So broken bonds with iron shadows, conspiracies and crossroads, iron and ashes, redemption. So we can take a look at, it looks like it's generating some of the scenes right now. And so we'll take a look and see what that looks like. At the planning, I mean, I can go through and change each of these things here, but I don't know if I can change. Okay, here we go. So we had to click this little caret here. So it'd be nice if it would have the little caret here, or I could click here and that would get this as well too. So shadow. So the nice thing, it does sort of give you that sort of image of what things look like. So let's take a moment and sort of take a look at how it breaks down the different scenes right now. So let's take a moment here and do that. So it sounds like, looking at the story right now, that there is a lot of different things going on. So it's sort of a little different than what I had originally envisioned, which was to have a drone attack begin to sort of set things off. But it's already started. It already sort of backed up. So it's already sort of like cut that out and got us right into the action. So I don't know if I necessarily like that or not, but we'll take a seat. So it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it sounds fine. So I'm interested to see. Let's take a look at the writing and see how it can write this and transform your story into professional formatted screenplay. And granted, when you're going through the planning stage, I believe, let's take a look just to make sure I'm not lying to you, I can go through and change any of the text. So if I don't like something, I can change the text. Yeah, I can go through and change the text to whatever I want. So let's take a look at the writing and generate it and see what happens next. So right now we're at 10,350. Let's see how long it takes for it to drop the. So far I've used 5 tokens, so we'll see how long it takes once the screenplay is done. So what I'd advise is, as you go get something to eat or drink after you hit the generate screenplay button, because it takes a little while to get there. So if you're wondering about pricing right now, remember I had a media copy to use. So you get you get the same amount. You get a monthly ink. You get a monthly ink of 11,500 credits. And I think, can you buy more? Let's see if it says you can buy more. So yeah, unfortunately the little carrot, the information comes off the side, so you can't read it. I'll let them know that when I give them my review of the site as well too. So in some sense it's cheaper than. So in some sense it's probably a little bit more expensive than just using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. But the nice thing about this, it has a way to create your screenplays, which have been really helpful. So I'm going to take a look and see if the finished product is done yet, and we'll keep going here and seeing how much it costs to use AI enhanced storytelling, the character evolution tools, as well as industry standard output. As well as we're going to take a look and see if we can make some artistic conception art of it as well too. So stick around for that. We'll find out here in a couple moments. This screenplay is 176 pages, which is a lot longer than I was really shooting for. I was really shooting for about 90 pages, and so it's gone through a lot. Let me throw it into one of my editors to make sure that's the scene count or the page count. So I'm going to export it, put it in the final draft, and we'll see what that looks like. The nice thing is you export it. You can export it as a fountain document, a FDX, which is a final draft document, a text document, or a docx document. So let's do FDX and see how that looks when we upload that. All right, so I was able to take the FDX file. As you can see, it comes right into the final draft format. It looks good. Everything looks great. So let's go down and see. Okay, so it's a little better on here. It's 117 pages. So it's a little bit longer than what I thought. So a little under 2 hours then. If you remember, that one page is basically worth 1 minute of screen time. So as I was reading it, you can tell it sounds like a good B movie. You know, like I said, a good B movie that's out there. It didn't really hit the spot that I wanted to hit. The nice thing about it, though, is it's a rough draft that I can begin to work with and do something with. So I think that is nice. I wish I had a little bit more control over what I wanted, and I believe I do if I go back and go through each of those pieces and fill in what I want to fill in and then have it generate a story. I think it'll do a little better job with that. With that being said, I think it would be nice if, let me show you what I'm talking about here. It would be nice during the plot session here if you can, I mean, you can edit it here, but when you initially were able to make when you're initially making this part of the plot, I wish it would give you the ability to just put everything in by hand. You have to generate something, and then after that, you can go back through and edit stuff, which is fine, but I just wish you didn't have to generate it first, because I thought I had everything pretty well how I wanted it to have in terms of that, and then it just basically generated whatever it wanted to, and then, you know, I think that is something I wish they would do. but that's personal preference. But again, the nice thing is it did give me a rough draft that I can throw right in the final draft and start working on. So let's take a look at the art concept. So what this one is, generate custom images for characters, locations, and scenes. You can suggest concepts. It's got a different color palette. So let's see what it would suggest. So we'll try some stuff and see what it looks like. So it has me using pitted metal, broken concrete, rain-soaked pavement. So basically different palettes that it's having me use, because I have cops, red and blue would definitely be one. And then what do I do with that? I don't know if there's supposed to be other stuff it's supposed to do with that, or I don't exactly know what they want us to do with this. But again, the nice thing here is you can download the image, you can regenerate the image if you don't like that. And the nice thing here is this was a lot of the generation power right here, was the ability to make these characters. And I made those characters. I had the AI use the characters, so I think that was most of the generation. So it was a little over 2,000 credits for this one screenplay. So my thoughts on Plotdot. It's interesting. I have to say that. I think it does better than the LLMs that we looked at yesterday, or it does better than the LLMs that we looked in the previous video about. I do like how it sort of layers everything out so you can see everything. The character locations were easy enough to use. I think there's still some UI things they need to fix in terms of having an arrow like over here to move up and down for some character stuff. Like if we go back to a character here, again, there's no arrows to really get, because there's other stuff down here and I can't even get at it. So I don't, I have to sort of figure out how. I have to click to get down here, and I have to click theoretically to get back up here. So there's no, I don't see, they need a little arrow here for that. And like I said, let's see, I don't know what these arrows are supposed to do, but they don't work. But it's nice to have these sort of characters here, locations. Again, it's very visual. It helps you get sort of the visual of how your screenplay is going to look. The plot is something that I wish I had a little bit more ability to, and I think they need to hold your hand a little bit. I want that ability to be able to change certain things in there. I didn't like that I had to sort of generate a plot first before coming up with using my own plot structure that I wanted, or my own plot elements that I wanted. And I don't know if I can do that. I'm assuming I can, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And the planning and writing are based on that. If the writing was a little closer to, if the planning and the writing sort of fell on sort of the beats that I wanted to, I know I could use this as just a first draft. And so in some sense, it helps you get that first draft so you can take those things, and it does a great job of saving them in the right format. And you saw how good it looked compared to what you get from Claude, what you get from Gemini, and even what you get from ChatGPT. It does a great job of making it in that correct format, which is just huge. And so you can use that to tinker with as well too. The art concept, I'm not really sure what they're going for that. I think they're just trying to give you some ideas of what colors and stuff like that. I was thinking they would have more images, or maybe like storyboarding that they would like to do, and maybe that's what they'll do at the end of the day. So again, the price is $99 a month, and it takes about, so if we say you get 11,500 credits, it takes about 2,000, so you can probably work on about 3 to 4 of these scripts per month, which is pretty nice. So that's fairly cool to do. So I thought that was really interesting. So in terms of value, I think you get a lot of value out of this, especially if you have a bunch of screenplays in your mind that you're trying to get out. This will help you get out a rough draft. And again, the writing isn't great. Again, you're getting AI writing, which is not bad, but it's not great. And you can I don't know, just the way some of the characters sound as I'm reading this is like not even close to what I have in my head. Some of the dialogue is very, very clunky. Some of the scenes are very, very clunky. But again, it gets you a rough draft, and you take this rough draft and you can turn it into a more polished thing. And if it's just the rough draft, and I think that's where a lot of people run into problems, is just getting a rough draft out. I think this is helpful to just get a rough draft out. Is it worth $99? That depends on you. It depends on, do you have enough ideas to warrant that? I mean, if you have like one or two ideas, I probably wouldn't recommend getting this. But if you have like 5 or 6 ideas and you just are having problems getting them out of your head onto the page, and you just can't seem to get a rough draft, try this. It's not bad. I think this is pretty neat about what it does. It's definitely head and shoulders above the other LLMs. So after watching this, what do you think? Would you give Plotdot a try? What other things are you noticing about this? Well, until the next video, live well and write well. Hey everybody, it's Future Paul coming back to you. I talked to the people at Plotdot and got some feedback on my feedback for them. So when I talked about the UI issues, they think it's mostly related to Safari because they've tested it most extensively on Chrome. So I'll have to go back and do that. I think when I do another video about them, I will follow up and try it on my Chrome. Now the feature of partial generation that I sort of brought up to them is currently in development in the lab right now. So that's cool. So that right now you have to, when you generate stuff, it has to be the whole thing versus just pieces. And so I'm happy that they're going to work on partial generation, because I think that to me is sort of the sweet spot, being able to write your own stuff and have the AI help augment it versus having the AI write everything. And my difficulty with putting user input into the plot was also a UI issue that they're working on. And they're also going to make it a little bit more intuitive as well, based on this review that we did. And so, like I said, I'm excited to see once they, again, this is just in beta. So I forgot to mention that at the beginning, this is just in beta. So we're going to give this a look-see probably in a couple months or down the road. And like I said, I'm excited for what they've done, and I'm excited for where it could be leading to. So that's Future Paul signing off. Live well and write well.